Mikrokosmos number 23, Imitation and Inversion. This is a piece that on the surface is very short and very simple, but it is so densely packed with really interesting musical things that I want to take a moment to take a look at some of those things before we talk about how we approach this piece as a performer. So the title of this piece, Imitation and Inversion, as many of the titles that Bartók gives us a sense of what we're going to be in for. And that first word, imitation, we saw some imitation in number 22. Imitation is that counterpoint idea where you have one hand or one voice imitating the music that another voice or another hand is doing. And look, in the very, very first measure of this piece, we have an example of imitation. The right hand starts on the D with this melody. 2 beats later, the left hand comes in with a version of that melody, or at least the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 notes are exactly the same. So when we put this together, when we put the hands together in the first 3 measures, we can hear that imitation. The second word in the title, inversion, is something that we haven't encountered yet. But to invert something means for 2 things to switch places. And what's going to happen in measures 4, 5, and 6 is that the melody that was in the right hand is going to move to the left hand. So this melody that we have in measures 1 through 3 moves to the left hand in measures 4 through 6. And then the melody that we had in the left hand in measures 1 through 3 moves to the right hand in measures 4 through 6. And there you have it. We have imitation and we have inversion. Let me play those first 6 measures all together so you can hear everything that's happening. In measures 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12, in the second line of the piece, we have the exact same thing happening, just with a different melody. So we have a melody that starts off in the right hand. Then we have an imitation of that, at least a version of that melody that imitates in the left hand. And then these 2 musical ideas switch places. The melody that we heard in the right hand goes to the left hand, and the melody that we heard in the left hand goes to the right hand. So if I play the second group of 6 measures from the beginning of the second line, so there's a lot happening in this piece, and that's one of the reasons I really enjoy working on this piece and having people work on it, because it gives us not just a challenging technical thing to do, but it really creates some interesting music. Now, how do you approach this as a performer? Well, we're going to use a lot of the same techniques and a lot of the same approaches that we used in number 22. So if you're stuck as to how to begin, go back to our video on number 22. And look at that. We're gonna practice everything hands alone. We're going to do the solfege, bouncing back and forth between the left hand, right hand, left hand, right hand, left hand, right hand, left hand, just to sort of get in the habit of reading simultaneously those two lines, the bass clef line and the treble clef line. And then finally, we're gonna be very, very careful about going through note by note and choreographing every single move our first time through. So we start with the right hand on D, and we say, okay, in the next beat, in beat 2, my right hand is going to the E and my left hand is resting. In beat 3, my right hand is going to the F and my left hand is starting on D. In the next beat, my right hand is going to G and my left hand is going to E. And we're going to go through phrase by phrase and choreograph and figure out every single move that we're making the first few times we go through this. You cannot go through this the first time slow enough. Slow and careful is going to be the most important way to approach this. One of the things that works nicely in this piece is that we can sort of divide this piece into 3 measure chunks. Each 3 measures, 1 through 3, 4 through 6, 7, 8, and 9, and then 10 and 11, 12. We can sort of deal with each of those separately. They make nice self-contained chunks that we can work on one at a time. Both as we're doing the solfege, as we're practicing hands alone, and as we're practicing hands together. And you'll notice as you do this hands alone, the melody isn't incredibly difficult. In fact, it probably will be pretty easy for you at this point when you practice it one hand at a time. We're moving always in stepwise motion, and there are no changes of hand position. But it's that incredible hand independence that we have to get used to when we add both of the hands together that is going to be the real challenge for this piece.